three things that you need to think of that are buzzwords, yes, but are crucial, yes. Number one, cloud-based architecture is the only way to serve these customers. It's the only way to optimize your systems for delivering services to customers. Now, I still work with clients who are, because of their policies, prohibited from using cloud services. That's just going to have to melt away. Those policies have to be replaced because you can't serve people in an anywhere, anytime mode. To serve people in what we call mobile moments of need. When someone pulls out their mobile phone and they say, I have a need right now and I'm going to try to use my phone to accomplish that purpose or to meet that need, and then they find out that they can't. Do you think they put that phone back in their pocket and say, oh, I guess the world isn't ready to give me that benefit yet? No, they file that away. Oh, that dumb company didn't anticipate my needs. Someone out there is probably meeting my needs. I just don't know it yet. That's a difference. 20 years ago, that's not how people thought. 20 years ago, people said, oh, well, maybe I'm pressing on the future too much. I should back away. Icarus's wings, all of that stuff. The only way that you can do this, you have your architecture, you have your orientation to the customer, is you're going to have a big data solution. One that creates a single view of the customer, analyzes that data in as close to real time as possible, and for some industries it's already real time, most it's not, and then adapts to serve the customer. I'll give you a quick example. Duolingo is an app that I love very much. It's a free language learning app. Tremendous number of languages. It's written by a guy from Columbia who's a faculty member at Carnegie Mellon. Genius. He's a genius. And he was frustrated with how hard it was for people to learn languages where they could get economic improvement in their lives. So he created an app called Duolingo. He made it free. The beauty of this app is that as you demonstrate proficiency in the language in the app, it adapts to you in real time. Oh, we gave this person some verbal cues, some picture cues, and some multiple choice, and they seem to have learned and retained the information best when we showed it to them this way. So let's give them more of those in the future. So by the end of the course, when you're learning Italian, it knows how you learn Italian best. And you're the only person at that point who's being taught the way you are being taught. Their methods have gone up against every other method, including Pimsleur, including Rosetta Stone, and they beat them. Completely free. Tell your friends. The point is, they can only do that if they have a big data architecture that is analyzing in real time and adjusting in real time. And everyone's going to have to be there eventually. Start with what you have the most of, that's the most current, and it will usually be digital data. It'll be web data, it'll be mobile data. Figure out how to store and use that first, and then try to tap into legacy data. The Lose It team that made that app was able to grow to the place that they were without any additional funds coming in. I specifically asked him, because the founder was a serial entrepreneur. He'd already sold 2 businesses to different, and the last one he'd sold to Microsoft. And I said to him, okay, 10 years ago you built a business and sold it to Microsoft. How much did it cost you to get that business started? He said, $5 million. And then I said, where did all that money go? He said, first of all, we had to get servers. We had to rack mount them and put coolers on them and make them secure. Then we had to have IT staff to monitor those servers around the clock. Then we had to license all the software to put on those servers. He said, what I did this time, I dialed into my AWS account. I use the word dial. I logged into my AWS account, and I simply said, I'd like some server space, please, and I'd like to put all of this open source software on it. For everything from email marketing to customer data management, all of it open source, all of it free. He said, I have infinite scalability on AWS, and yet I didn't have to spend the money until I actually needed to spend the money. So, and I asked him to give me other details. He had a tremendous number of details. He knew his money. $5 million was his first ask when he launched his first company. The next one was, I told you, $400,000. That's a 1/10. That's even better than that. 1/10 the cost. So these are order of magnitude differences. You multiply those together, 2 order of magnitude together, you get a 2 order of magnitude difference, 100 times the power. Well, I use the word power because I am being vague here, deliberately, but vague in a way that I hope you understand, in that I'm not just talking about 100 times the number of ideas. There are many more, but it's about the ideas and their reach and their capacity and their potential, the speed with which they'll grow, their ability to collide with each other and inspire imitators. When you see something like WhatsApp, which now has 600 million users around the world, it's just a text messaging app. That's a really big light bulb here. That's 100 times the power. 600 million people. Think about that. If that were a country, it would be the third largest country in the world. The mistake of Google Glass is that Google Glass tries to replicate the entire computing experience in this form factor. And what is best to understand is that this should just be an input and output device, just like this will be an input and output device. This doesn't need to be a full-blown computer. This one with the microphone built into it, I get it. I understand why they have to do it. But my Pebble, which I've had for a year before this, was better than this at many things. Plus, it only needed to be charged every 5 days. So there are reasons why you don't need to load a device down with so many functions, especially if loading them down with all those functions inhibits the usability of the experience. And that's often what happens. And that's where we are with Google Glass. It's trying to do too many things, and it's not doing any of them particularly well. But by teaching us that at some point we will have a visual interface, probably paired with an audio interface, is probably the best. Because we don't need to see every answer to our questions. Some of them we could hear, and that would solve things. And you could get the same value out of Google Glass by having a smartwatch that's capable of display, a camera pinned to your lapel, and an earpiece in your ear, and you would get more value out of that than you would from Google Glass, plus it wouldn't look dorky. So there's just a lot of user experience that Google didn't contemplate when they thought of that device, but that's okay. That was way more than version 1. That was version 0.01. And that's okay, but we're getting there very, very close, thanks to Apple. 46% of adults in the United States now say they're interested in Apple Watch, which is more than actually have an Apple device. So that's interesting. So Apple has a way to make categories. What should you folks leave here with today of everything I say? The message is, you ain't seen nothing yet. Constructed in absolutely poor grammar on purpose so that it's memorable. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because we're going to have ideas about how to use the information from our bodies, the information from our world. We're going to see this explode. We are not at some kind of apex. I just don't want you to think that it's like, oh, we've arrived. We've got mobile, and we've got a couple of wearable devices, and some people are making stereoscopic 3D headsets. Cool, we're almost there. The future is not even close. We're just getting started. Because the foundational connectivity layer is in place. Now that we have the device connectivity, it's time to make the human connectivity really work. It's impossible for a government to make an infinite series of prognostications about how regulation might help. So the best role for regulation is to prevent against known harms. Known harms. Not to advocate for specific desired outcomes. Because you never know whether those outcomes are achievable. I won't use solar power as an example. Oh wait, maybe I just did. As an example of the government choosing to bet on horses, bet on outcomes. You don't have the knowledge or the skill to do that. Better to prevent known harms. And that's doable. The regulatory framework is actually designed really to do that. It's just people tend to overstep it. If you don't, you will end up inhibiting innovation, and innovation will go somewhere else, like, say, Israel, Ireland, Singapore. These are countries that do very, very well because they don't heavily regulate people in information industries. Thank you guys, this is really fun.